here. I see we got a couple offices on here as well. People watching from the offices. That is fantastic. So you're in for a treat today because I actually not only did I put together notes, but what I typically don't do is I typically don't put together a PowerPoint. And today, oh, are you in for a treat? Because I even took the time to put together a PowerPoint presentation. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's nothing special. Okay. So you're not going to see anything like, wow, Robert should be on our marketing team. Nope, that's not what you're going to see today. But you are going to see at least a PowerPoint so you have some visuals to go with it. All right. So here's the topic of today, or the title of today's class was 10 tips to win a listing every time. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's more than 10. Okay. I wrote down 10 tips, and then I just like underneath each one, there was a bunch of sub points. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just categorize this a little bit better. So, so I don't want you, it's not going to be 1 through 10, right? It's going to be categorized a little bit better. But the goal of this class is to just have you armed and prepared to go on every single listing presentation to give you a chance to win. All right. Now, a lot of you, and I'm looking at the names of some of you on this call, a lot of you win a lot of the listing presentations you go on. So you're doing a lot of the things I'm probably going to mention in today's class. But maybe there's 1 or 2 things that you're not doing that can just even get you that one extra listing. Okay. And some of you might be like, man, I need help getting a lot more listings on those presentations. So no matter what, you should walk away with at least one general idea. And for those of you that, even if I go through the first couple slides and you're going, man, there's nothing on here that's hitting me yet, just stay tuned, because there could be one thing that makes a difference that gets you that one extra listing. Maybe this class is only going to help you get one extra listing. Okay, for some of you on here, but that's $15,000. And I'm only going to go for about 35 minutes. $15,000, 35 minutes, pretty good return on your investment. All right. So just think about that for some of you that are on here. But I've got this broken down as simple and as easy as possible. You know how I am. I'm never vague. I try to keep it really simple and easy to follow. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my presentation on how to win a listing every single time. So we're going to go into slideshow mode. All right. Here we go, everybody. Century 21, hashtag relentless. Let's do this. Tips on winning the listing every time. All right. So first thing we're going to go is before even starting. So I tried to break this down is before you even set an appointment to go on a listing presentation, let's start with just before. Now, here's what I wrote down before even starting. Number 1 is build a great relationship with your database. Build a great relationship with your database. Why? Because they are the best source of listings and the easiest listings if you have a relationship with them. Okay? So if you want to win the listing every time, one of the simplest ways to do that is go on listings that are much easier to take. And the easiest listings to take are the ones that you have a great relationship with your database. So what I would recommend everybody doing now, well, not like at this very moment, but in your business now, is start building a really great relationship with your database. More calls, more text, more emails, more deeper conversations. Hey, what's your 5-year plan in real estate? What's your 10-year plan in real estate? What questions do you have about the market that maybe haven't been answered yet? Can everybody hear me by the way? Okay, great. All right. Because
Yes.
I got, okay, great. I just got a message saying that I froze, which is possible. I've been working on my mime skills. So, anyways, so asking them deeper questions, building that relationship with your database, easiest listings to get. I wrote down here next, get social. Now, I have to credit Janella up in our Castro Valley office on that one because that's one of her catchphrases is get social. But when I say that and get social, so first of all, put a 1 in the chat box or raise your hand. If you set a listing appointment, are they going to look you up online? Raise your hand if you think it's yes, or put a 1 in the chat box if you think it's a yes. Okay. I see some of you raising your
Yes.
hands. I see some of you putting 1s in the chat box. Yes, they are going to look you up online. So before you even set the listing appointment, set up your online profile. right? People, it says with search, you should say will search you online, especially non-database. So if you're getting past clients, centers of influence, like that are really connected with you, maybe they won't do that much. But if you're going on listing appointments with people that are not your database, referrals, expireds, open house people, anything like that, they're going to look you up. So get your online presence looking good, your social media, your Google My Business, your website, Chat GPT, all these things. Get your online profile looking really, really great. So that way, when people look you up, they're impressed by what they see. Okay, now you don't have to be influencers, but having some aspect of social media with some posts that look decent, having a Google My Business page, which is the easiest thing to set up, especially when you have people like Kiana in our company that do classes on it. Website, right? Get your website looking good. ChatGPT, like that's what people search for now. Spend some time to get your online profile looking good. So that way, when they search you, they're already impressed. And when they're already impressed, by the time you walk in the door, it's like, man, yeah, they look great online. I like a lot of what I'm seeing. And then I wrote down there, optional but helps is be known in the community. Right? It's not as big of a deal as the other two, but it does help if they at least know who you are before they sit down and meet with you. So maybe you've sponsored an event. They've seen you at community events, right? Whatever those events may be. Right? If they know you in the community, even if they've never met you, they just know of you, it could make a difference. So this is before even getting started. Now, obviously, I didn't get into prospecting lead generation. There's a whole aspect of that. This is simply just your basic steps of before you even get that listing appointment. These three things can make a giant impact on helping you get that listing because they want to make sure that they have a great relationship. They know you a little bit before you even get in there. Okay. All right. Good stuff. So now you've set the listing appointment. Go team, go. Go team, go. All right, you've set a listing appointment. So now we're going to talk about what do you do before the appointment to secure the best chance of you getting the listing. So let's talk about that. Before the appointment, I wrote down number one, aggressive lead follow-up. Okay. Everybody remember when I did the state of the market class that 80% of sellers only interview one agent? Was anybody surprised by that stat? Okay, that 80% of sellers only interview one agent. Okay, so 80% of sellers only interview one agent, which means if you want to win more listings, you need to get there first, which means you need to have aggressive lead follow-up. Okay, aggressive lead follow-up. You have to get there first. So if you set a listing appointment, you do aggressive lead follow-up. You set a listing appointment. The appointment is at 4 o'clock. You need to then say, are you planning to interview any other agents for the job of selling your home? They say, yeah, you're coming at 4 o'clock, but we have another agent coming over at 2 o'clock. What should you do in that situation? If you're coming over at 4, they say they have another agent coming over at 2. What should you try to do on that call?
Tell them not to schedule sooner time.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what I like, team. Jump that other agent. Okay? How do I win the listing every time? I got to be there first. So if I'm coming over at 4 o'clock and they say, actually, Robert, we have another agent coming over at 2. Hey, that's great. Actually, I could be there at 12. My presentation's only 15 minutes. Okay. So we don't have to spend a lot of time. We don't have to allocate a lot of time. I can stay longer if you have questions. It's not going to work every time, but if you want to win the listing every time, I got to get there first. If I don't get there first, there's an 80% chance I don't get to play. All right. So again, if I want to win the listing more often than not, I've got to have aggressive lead follow-up to get there first. That's facts. That's not a Robert stat I just came up with. That is a fact that 80% of sellers only interview one agent. All right. So then next thing, research the property and neighborhood thoroughly. Is there anything being built? Are there changes happening? What are the school districts like? You want to make sure you know the area. Okay, because something could be built that might impact the sales, or something might be built that might, impact the sales in a negative way. So I was in Inglewood last night. I was at the Intuit Dome. All right, I went and my wife and I went and saw Shakira. Shakira puts on a great show, by the way, if you ever get a chance to go see her. right? I was in the Intuit Dome, and for those of you that aren't from Southern California, Inglewood has never been a great area. Okay, don't be offended if you're from Inglewood. It's just the facts. Okay, it's never been a great area. But now they built this Intuit Dome. They redid Hollywood Park, which actually hurts my soul a little bit because I used to love going to the racetrack. But they redid Hollywood Park into this great place. They've now redone the Inglewood Forum. It's now called the Kia Forum. So, like, downtown Inglewood has built into this really nice area. Well, do you think has had a positive or negative impact on home prices?
Positive.
Positive, right? So I need to know that stuff like that going into a listing presentation because a couple years ago, if I had gone into a listing presentation in a house in Inglewood and I go, oh, just based on the comps, this is what's going on. And they say, yeah, but what about all the stuff they're building? And you go, what stuff? And you don't know, you're not getting that listing. Okay, so you need to know, is there anything being built? Are there changes happening? What about the school districts? Because the school district, good or bad, could have an impact on the pricing. All right. So if I mean, and I have to be honest with that. If I have a school district that's in the threes and fours and I go to a seller and the seller's like, I want to list it here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I got to be honest with you. One of the negative impacts of the area you live in as a school district has very low ratings. So there's a chance we're not going to get the families moving in here, which impacts some of your buyer pool. So we need to be a little bit more aggressive on pricing, or vice versa. That I need to know that the school districts are really great. So I got to research the property in the neighborhood thoroughly. I got to know what's going on, what's happening in the area. All right, preview property. Preview property. Right now, I know some of you don't know what preview property means, and it's not a joke. You're just newer in the business. Preview property means going to see the homes that are for sale. Okay, inside and out. Ideally in person. Ideally in person. What's the main reason it's better to see the properties in person than just view them online? What's the main reason?
Because
To
the
know
main
the
reason is
negative and positive of the property.
Yeah,
you know the neighborhood.
you know the neighborhood. You know the neighborhood. That is one. You get to see the neighborhood. But and that helps. The biggest reason, though, probably number one, and Shakira, you're right there with 1A. The biggest reason is real estate agents typically don't post negative stuff about the property in pictures.
Yep.
Okay? All right. And I'm looking through our list here of people on this call, and some of you are very guilty of this. I'm not going to mention names. Right? But when you go preview the properties, if you just look at the properties online, it's only going to show the great stuff. All right? I remember, okay, true story. I listed a We listed a property. It was an investment property we had, and it was out of the area. So I picked an agent I knew in the area, but it wasn't one of our company because it wasn't our area. And the house had a fireplace. Now, the fireplace in the house had not been turned on for God knows how long. Okay, I don't even know if the fireplace worked. So the photographer goes in there and takes photos, and they send us the photos. And wouldn't you know that the fireplace looks gorgeous with a gorgeous crackling fire in there? And I'm going, what? Did they turn on the fireplace? And Amber's like, nah, they added that in there. I'm like, I don't even think the damn fireplace works. But in the photos, oh man, that fireplace looked amazing. It looked amazing. All right. Then you get there and you're like, yeah, no, that's not how it looks. All right. You got to go see it in person so you know the reality of what are the upgrades like? Okay. What's upgraded? What's not upgraded? Are there power lines? Okay. What does the roof look like? You got to go in person. Plus, like Shakira said, you see the neighborhood. You know if there's an eyesore across the street, right? You know if it's a busy street. Okay. Now, why preview property? One, it keeps you in charge of pricing. Keeps you in charge of pricing. Now, I'm skipping ahead a little bit here because we're going to talk about at the appointment, but I'm just giving you an example of previewing property, why that keeps you in charge of pricing. So if you're on a listing appointment and you're going through the comps, have you ever dealt with a seller who is convinced that their house is worth more than their neighbors? Okay.
Always.
Okay. All right. I see some of you, both hands, a couple of you even put your feet up. Oh, like, yes, all of them, right? You got sellers that think their house is worth more. Well, guess what? Previewing property keeps you in control because now you're going through the comps And as you go through the comps, you ask the seller, Mr. and Miss Seller, have you seen this property? Typically, when you ask a seller if they've seen this property, what do they normally say?
No.
No. Typically, the answer is no. Okay. No, I haven't seen this property. Well, Mr. and Miss Seller, I've actually been in this property. I've seen it inside and out. And because of that, the reason this property is slightly better than yours is blank. But do you see how that keeps you in total control of pricing? Because how can they now come back at you? They just admitted they hadn't seen the property. You just mentioned you've been inside the property. You have total control of pricing. Okay, they can't come back at you in anything. But if you haven't previewed property and you go to the seller and you say, Mr. Seller, have you seen this property? And they go, no. And you go, well, neither have I. So yeah, I guess your price works great. That's good. All right, previewing keeps you in charge. It's also an easy way to overcome the lack of experience. So for those of you that don't have a ton of experience, previewing property gives you a way to overcome that. Because if they say, well, this other agent's been in the area for 20 years. Okay, that's great, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. But let me ask you a question. First of all, are you selling your house today or 20 years ago? Well, today, right. Markets changed quite drastically in the last 20 years, right? Yes. Okay. So while it is nice to have someone with 20 years experience in the neighborhood, it doesn't mean they're the best way to help you today. What you need is someone who knows the market today. And here's what I've done. I've actually been inside all the properties that have been for sale in the last 3 months in your neighborhood. So there is nobody that knows the market better today of what's selling, what's not selling, what's closing fast, and what's expiring better than me. All right. So it's an easy way to overcome that objection. Right. By the way, I love it when, when somebody says, oh, but they were born in this area. They're born and raised in this area. I know people born and raised in New York that have never been to the Statue of Liberty. Just because you're born and raised in an area doesn't mean you know a damn thing. That's just, oh man, fun times. All right. Know the seller's personality style. Know the seller's personality style. Now, I'm not going to go through an entire class personality styles. No Grant's in a class. Pamela's done classes on that. I know I've done them at nauseum, but you need to know the seller's personality style because only 25% of people are like you. So if you want to win the listing every time, find out their personality style so you can customize your presentation based around their personality style. Because if they're expressive, and you know they're expressive, if you don't come in with high energy, high intensity, fast pace, let's go, you won't win the listing. If they're analytical and you come in like an expressive, you won't win the listing. All right. So you've got to know their personality style so you can customize how you even from the time they open the door. Right? They open the door. They're expressive. They open the door. God, Robert, I'm so excited to meet you and talk about how we can get you down to Santa Monica into that beach house that you want. Can we sit down and talk about that? They're going, oh man, right away. That's my guy. You walk in the door. It's an analytical. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, gosh, I'm so glad to meet you. I can't wait to go through all the numbers and data I've put together that I know that you're going to like to help you make a decision on getting this house sold and getting you down to Santa Monica. Can we sit down and talk about that? They're going, oh man, numbers, data. This guy's really got it going. All right. Knowing their personality style. All right. And then I wrote down upgrade all your marketing, especially the higher the price. You want to win the listing? Come in with upgraded marketing material. Right? I mean, and we have a tremendous marketing team that can make your marketing material look really great. We've got templates that make your marketing look really great. There's no excuses for you to have outdated, weak marketing. Okay, there's just no excuse for that in today's world. Right? You have ChatGPT, you have all these great things at your disposal, but you got to upgrade, right? Make it look nice, make it look professional. All right, and then a couple more things that before the appointment, pre-qualify the listing appointment. Meaning that before you go on the listing appointment, have a pre-qualifying questionnaire. Now, we obviously have one that we follow, but if you don't like that one, you can come up with your own, whatever you prefer. But pre-qualify them. One, shows that you're a professional and you're listening. So what other professions pre-qualify a client before they do any serious things on them?
Doctors and lawyers.
Doctors, lawyers, yeah. Financial advisors. I mean, do you walk into a doctor's office and go, you know what, my head hurts? They're like, brain surgery. No. They go, okay. They ask you like 20 questions. They even ask you questions you don't even think is has relevant to your head. I have a headache. Okay, have you fallen on, have you had any strenuous workouts? They're like, what are you talking about? Right? They're asking a whole checklist. Lawyers ask you a ton of questions before they sit down and talk with you. Imagine going to a financial advisor. I'd like to invest in this. And they go, all in, baby. Let's go. Like, what? They're going to ask questions. So professionals do it. So when you pre-qualify, it shows that you are a professional and that you are listening. So one, that's the power of pre-qualifying. Two, it uncovers thoughts that will help you prepare. When I come out on Tuesday, how much do you think you want to list your house for? 1.5 million. And you know that it's a 1.2 area. Okay, I've just uncovered that I'm going to have to be really strong on price and really, really show them what their house is worth. All right, so I already know going into that. Have you ever thought about selling it yourself? Actually, yeah, we are considering just selling it ourselves. Okay, got to be fully prepared, armed and ready. Talk about for sale by owners, right? It's uncovering thoughts that will help you prepare. It uncovers their motivation. All right. After you sell this home, where are you going to go next? We don't know. Okay. Probably not very motivated. Right. So I got to maybe dig a little bit deeper on that. Why are you even thinking about selling? Why the hell am I even going out there? All right. And then right there, it uncovers if they're a real seller. You know, like I said, if you sell this house, where are you going to go next? Actually, we don't even really know. We're not even 100% sure if we want to sell it. We just kind of want to see what would happen. What could we get for it? Okay. I might not have a real seller here. I'm still going to go, right? But I don't know if this is a listing appointment, right? Do I even have that? Well, Robert, if I can't get below I'm not taking a penny below 1.5 million and I'm going, man, this is 1.2 at best. I probably don't have a real seller. So maybe I want to ask some additional questions, right? That this has helped me win more often because now by the time I get there, because then when I get there, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out and say, hey, I just want to recap some of the things we talked about on our pre-qualifying. You said this, you said that. You know what they're going? They're going, man, this guy listened to everything I said, took notes. So right away, like you're establishing authority. Like this guy is on it. This gal is on it. Right. So it's not even sometimes pre-qualifying is not even just get uncovering anything. You pre-qualify, then you repeat the answers of the presentation. It shows that you're listening, you're paying attention. All right, good stuff. Confirm all the decision makers will be present. Okay. Who's here has ever had this situation? I am the only decision maker. And then when you go to the listing appointment, you find out there's another one. Anyone? 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 Show of hands. One in the chat box. Yep. Okay, great. Confirm all decision makers will be present. Well, Robert, they're the only one on title. Does that mean they're the only decision maker? No. Now they might be, but I would still, no, Robert, I'm the only one who owns this property. Okay, that's great. Good for you. But is there anyone else that could influence this decision? Do you have a mom, a dad, a family member who, you kind of run things by in terms of potentially selling a house? Do you have a girlfriend, a fiance? Do you have any kids? Make sure that they're going to be there. Okay. Well,
Especially if they help you with a down payment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If they helped you with the down payment. Yeah. Okay. But what happens if, I always run things by my dad, but my dad lives in New York. He can't be here in San Francisco. Okay, great. Well, let's make sure that your dad is available via speakerphone or Zoom at the time that we're going to meet. All right. All right. I wrote down here, know when to bring backup. Know when to bring backup. Now, this is hard for some of you to understand, but this is talking about winning the listing every time. You might, after you talk to someone before you go on the appointment, you might realize you're not what they're looking for. So bring backup. Mr. Massell, so what is it that you're looking for in a real estate agent? Robert, I need someone. I'm going to be honest with you. My house is worth $3 million. I want someone who has a history of selling $3 million homes in this area. And you're going, I've never done that. Oh, that's okay. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna show them. Hey, probably not. Okay. If that's what they specifically asked for, bring backup. okay, and get 50% of something rather than 0% of nothing, and then leverage that sale for more sales to show that you have some experience in that. But you got to know when to bring back up. Okay? You've never done a commercial property and you're going on a commercial listing. Bring back up. All right? You're going in an area and they said, you know what, Robert, my only concern about working with you is that, you're based in Porter Ranch and, our house is down here in West Hollywood and I don't know, like I want someone with a little bit more local. Now, yes, you could overcome that objection, but if they're specifically telling you that, bring back up. Bring someone that's got some experience there. Know when to bring backup. Arrive 10 to 15 minutes early and be prepared. That sounds simple, but yet people are late all the time. Don't be late, otherwise you lose. Dress professionally and bring organized materials. Okay, dress professionally, again, seems like a no-brainer, but some of you surprise me every day, right? And bring organized materials. Here's what you don't want to do. You get to a listing presentation, get on the table, and then you just, oh, hold on, let me get this paper in order, and that, you lost. Be prepared. And last one, walk to the door with a winning mentality. Okay. If you're walking up the driveway to somebody's house to do a listing presentation and your thought is, I hope I get this listing, turn around, go back to the car and save everybody some time. Okay. You will not get that listing. But if you're walking up the driveway, standing straight, excited with a pep in your step going, I'm going to win this listing. Now you're ready to go through that door. But if you're in hope mode, just save everybody some time. Turn around. I got to win, man. I know I can get this. And here's the beauty. You're here, you're listening to this class. I'm giving you all kinds of tools. You have a great regional leadership team that gives you all kinds of tools. There's no reason that if you're paying attention to anything that we do, that you should not have a winning mentality going into every listing presentation. I mean, you're armed and dangerous. You should be the most confident real estate agents in the market. All right? So make sure you're doing that. All right, good stuff. All right, next one. Attitude is everything. All right, first of all, before I move on, questions on anything we've covered so far? All right, beautiful. All right, attitude is everything. Here we go. I wrote down here, build rapport, not too much, subtle things. People like working with people they know. So here's what I mean by build rapport. If you see something that you can relate to, just kind of touch on it, but don't get too crazy. So if, for example, you are a dog person and you walk to the front door and their mat says, dogs welcome, people tolerated. Now, how do I know that mat exists? Anyone want to guess how I know that mat exists?
He'll be barking.
Yeah, let me know how I know, but how that exact mat exists. That's the mat on my front door. The mat on my front door says dogs. Thank you, Doug got it. The dogs tolerated, people welcome. So if I see that, I'm not going to go into a 15-minute spiel about dogs, but I might say dogs welcome, people tolerated. I love it. Tell me a little bit about the dogs you got. Oh, I have this. Oh, man, that's and if you happen to have a dog, you can mention. But even if you don't, it doesn't matter. I'm just asking them what kind of dogs they have because I'm getting them to talk about their dogs a little bit to build a rapport. Subtle things. Oh, okay, that's great, fantastic. All right, now let's jump back into this. Okay, subtle things. You notice as you're walking up the driveway, they got a sticker on the car, baby on board. Oh, hey, got a baby on board. So, I didn't even know this. Do you have a newborn? Oh yeah, we got the like little subtle things that build rapport. Okay. People like working with people they like. Okay. Don't get too crazy with it, but little things. All right. I wrote down have energy and smile. Nobody wants to work with boring people. All right. Hold on. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Put a 1 in the chat box or raise your hand if you love working with boring people.
No.
Thank you, Maria.
Well, actually, they'll find you exciting.
They might find you exciting. Yeah. Right. Have energy and smile, right? They're looking for that. They're looking for excitement. Okay. They're looking for someone who's smiling. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, how you doing today? Robert Hertel. God, I'm so glad about getting your home on the market, getting it sold. Can I come in? And they're going, Jesus, criminy, dude. Like, I'm not entering the military here. need you to sell my house, right? Energy, smile, right? Makes a difference, all right? Make eye contact, shows confidence, which builds trust. And be authentic and conversational. So I wrote here, this is an important line. Know the scripts, but don't be scripted. Know the scripts, but don't be scripted. So how do you know the scripts without, what do you have to do to know the scripts but not be scripted? What's the one way to know the scripts but not be scripted?
Memorize,
Personalize it.
internalize.
Memorize, internalize, practice,
Role play.
role play. Okay? Because I could know the scripts without sounding scripted. Hey, Mr. and Miss So, I'm so glad I got you on the phone. Gosh, I've got really important news about what's going on in the real estate market. Do you have a minute? It's a script, but it just comes off natural. I don't know if you know this, but your home came up on my computer as an expired listing. I was just calling to see, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home? Never. Terrific. Gosh, if you sold this house, where were you going to go next? Right? It's knowing the scripts but not being scripted. Okay, you got to be authentic. You got to be conversational, right? Be yourself. It's okay. I give you permission to be yourself. Well, maybe not all of you. I'm just kidding, right? Right? But this is attitude is everything. All right. And then the last couple things on attitude is everything. Like I said, we just talked about practice creates confidence. So you want to have more confidence. Your attitude wants to have more confidence. So that comes from practice. Practice your listing presentation and your objection handlers. Now, here's the key. Only practice the objections you will actually get. It drives me nuts when people practice what if objections. What if they say this? They probably never will. Okay. Well, why are you worrying about handling 40 different objections? Why don't you just have the 4 or 5 that you're going to get and know 4 or 5 different ways of handling those? Okay. Price, commission. I got a friend in the business. We want to think it over. What do you do differently? Like, that's it. Okay. The objections never change, so you should never be surprised. If you want to win the presentation every single time, listening every single time, you should never be surprised when they comment about price. Like, why would you be surprised about that? Why would you be surprised if they bring up commission? Why would you be surprised if they bring up friend or family in the business? Why would you be surprised if they say they want to think about it? You should never be surprised. It's the same objections. All right. So I wrote down here a couple bonuses. Have 2 or 3 ways of handling each objection. So if you have one way, great, but have 2 or 3 ways in case that one doesn't work. And then a bonus is have an objection handler for each personality style. So once you learn the personality styles, have a commission objection handler for an amiable, commission one for expressive, driver, analytical, right? So now when you understand their personality style, you can handle the objection based on their personality style. That's when you're really getting there. And then I wrote down here last on practice creates confidence. The 2 letters that will destroy your business the fastest are U and M. If you want to lose listings, say a lot. We want you to cut your commission. It's over. Just cut it. Just cut it or walk away. Stop. You can't handle it anymore. Your price is too low. Just stop. Raise the price or walk away. Right? You lost. U and M. Practice creates confidence. All right, good stuff. Let's go. All right. Demonstrate expertise. Now you're going to be an expert. Here we go. Impress them with local stats and trends. Local stats. You want to talk about local stats because all they're reading is national stats. Mr. and Miss Seller, I understand that's what's going on nationally. Let's talk about what's going on here in your city of Arroyo Grande. Just your city. Right? Quickly shows that you're a professional, you know the area. Vague analysis shows you don't know. So right now, Mr. and Miss Seller, the market is definitely favoring sellers, but it's a pretty good market right now. So we should be able to get your price. I'm just like, oh my gosh, stop talking. Like vague analysis shows you don't know. I mean, so if you're going to be vague, just be prepared to overprice it or cut your commission. Right? You want to get your price and your commission, you got to show you're an expert. Press them with local stats, right? Now, what's a really great tool that most of your MLSs have that can give you every local stat you need to be a professional?
Info Sparks.
Yes, Info Sparks. Let's go. Woo! Oh, yes. That's what I'm talking about. You all know. Let's go. Info Sparks, part of your MLSs. Easy way to be an expert. All right. Give them
Previewing.
information. Previewing also helps. There you go. Yep. Give them information relatable to their house. Percentage of investors in the city, percentage of people who move from outside the county, how many expires and cancels in the last 90 days, right? The more you can show that you know about their specific situation, the more likely they will list with you. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't know if you know this, but in your area, 27% of the homeowners are investors. That's one of every 4 homes. Did you know that? No idea. Yeah, and in the last year, 33% of the people who moved here came from outside the county, which means between those two stats, not only do you need someone with local expertise, but you really need someone with a broader marketing to get these investors and out of area buyers. Would you agree? Yes. And then you go into that. I have that script written out. Don't worry about it. Okay. But that's why you want to know this stuff, because it's like, man, they're giving me stuff that's relatable to me. Okay. Anyone know what MMFI stands for? MMFI? Anyone know what MFI stands for?
Or something, is it for me? Whatever.
Make
Make
me
me
feel important.
feel important.
Oh,
MMFI, make me feel important, right? Good job. Shakira, you were right on it, right? Make me feel important. Well, how do you make me feel important? I'm giving you stats specific to you, right? Your house, your area, your city. This is all about you. They're going, man, this agent knows what's going on. All right, good stuff. Expires and cancels because it helps with pricing. Okay. I know we're at 12:56. This is going to end a few minutes past. All right. So you'll be all right. All right. Explain pricing with confidence and authority. Okay. When you're going through pricing, you got to be confident. You got to be authoritative. If you have high pitched pricing suggestions, so I'm thinking maybe 875. They're going to object to that all day, right? So based on that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we agree that the comp support a price of 875. Would you agree with that? Right? Like boom, like confidence, authority. Right? Remember the previewing part I mentioned earlier, right? When you can control price, but you got to have confidence and authority. Otherwise, they'll run all over you. All right. And then if they start running all over you, they'll continue to run all over you, and then you won't win listings. Be specific, not generic about your marketing plan. Vague shows you have no plan. So here's what I mean by that. Okay. Well, so what are you going to do to get my hall sold? Well, we're going to do a ton of marketing. We're going to send it out to a bunch of people in our database. We have a large list of investors. Like, it's all vague stuff. We're going to put it out on our social media pages. Like, that's vague. Be specific. Now, you have, when I say be specific, you have a Mike Ferry 18-point plan of action. Century 21's got a 21-point plan of action. We created like a 32-point plan of action years ago, right? But a specific plan of action of what you're going to do to get home sold. So I'll give you an example. Well, Mr. Maselli, here's what we're going to do. First of all, your listing is going to go out to 1,200 Century 21 Masters agents, which is the top Century 21 in California. I'm also going to send it out to my own personal database of 250 people. On top of that, I'm going to boost it out on social media. So that will probably get us in front of about 3,000 people. I'm also going to reach out to 200 of your nearest neighbors just to see if they know anyone that might want to buy the property. I'm also going to put it out on Zillow Showcase, because you know what Zillow is, and Zillow Showcase is going to get a lot more exposure. That should get us, a few thousand more views on it. And then I'm also going to conduct some open houses, which will hopefully generate some more people. Like, that is a specific, quick elevator pitch on your marketing plan. That's so much better than a vague statement, right? But having a step-by-step marketing plan gives you all the things. And if you need help with a step-by-step marketing plan, let us know. We can get that over to you. All right, good. We're getting a copy of these slides, right? Yes, after I'm done, I'm going to put my Venmo account in there, and then you can get a copy of these slides. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, you'll get a copy of them. More demonstrate expertise. Right? Show a detailed timeline for listing to closing, right? Give them everything they need to know. So here, I'm going to list it. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, blah, 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 right? So they're prepared. Have a pre-listing checklist. Shows you're organized and you have a plan. Here's what needs to happen before we even get the home on the market, right? They want to know that you're planned ahead, that you don't want to know you're an expert. Give a list of all the affiliates that will be touching the file. So when I mean that, name, company name, person name, title, phone number, email. Those 5 things for your escrow, your TC, any assistance, title, lender's warranty, all of it. because you're going to give them all the list of the affiliates that are going to be touching the file. Okay. And then you're going to use that as a sales technique. Here's what I mean. Fraud is up. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the benefits of working with me is that I'm going to do my best to help prevent you from fraud. So I don't know if you know this, but fraud is up pretty much across all industries, but we're certainly feeling it in real estate as well. So the way that I can help you prevent that is that there's going to be a lot of people touching your file in order to help us get it closed. Here's the names, phone numbers, emails, and company names of all the people that are going to be touching your file. So if you get anyone requesting any information from you, I want you to pull out this sheet and make sure the email, phone numbers, everything match exactly perfect. And if one thing is off, one letter, one number, they say they're the assistant instead of the actual person, you call me to verify before you send them any information. Does that sound good? Oh, that sounds great, right? Like I can now use this as a like leverage to get the sales to show that I'm protecting them against fraud. All right. So, but it's also just shows that I'm well prepared and organized. Present yourself as a consultant, not just a salesperson, which means take your emotions out of it and eliminate commission breath. All right. Hard thing to do for salespeople, but take your emotion out of it, commission breath, and bring an accurate net sheet. I don't understand why people in today's world don't have somewhat of a reasonably accurate net sheet. You know, it's like it doesn't have to be perfect, but you shouldn't be super off with all the resources you have. All right, this is how you're going to demonstrate some expertise. All right, questions on that? I only have a couple more and then we're done. All right, good stuff. I'll pay $1. Thanks, Anna. I'll take $1. All right, I think $1 still gets me 2 tacos at Jack in the Box, but I could be wrong. All right, here we go. The little things. The little things. Here's what I wrote down for the little things. Pay attention to see who the real decision maker is. Okay. Have you ever gone on put a 1 in the chat box or raise your hand if you've ever gone on a listing presentation thinking you knew who the decision maker was and halfway through the listing presentation found out it was somebody else? Anyone? Show of hands or 1 in the chat box that's ever happened to you? Yeah. Okay, great. Right? So you got to pay attention to see who the real decision maker is because then you have to make sure you're focused on them. So let me give you a little hint. So if there's 2 people, let's just for easy purposes, let's just call it a husband and wife, okay? It's husband and wife. Whoever you've spent the most time communicating with, setting up the listing appointment, go in with the mentality of like, all right, they might be the main person to talk to, okay? Let's go in with that. But pay attention. And so because let's say you're at the appointment, you got both of them, and this happens. Okay, let's just for the example, here's the husband, the wife is to his left, and every time you say something to bring up a point, the husband does this. You say something else, the husband does this. Say something else, husband does this. You know what that's telling you? The wife is the decision maker. The husband's looking at her for approval. Okay? Or they verbally say it. You know, I mean, I think that's fair, but I mean, what do you think? They're looking to them for approval. That's the decision maker. So you've been focused on this part. It's like, okay, in this example, I've been dealing with the husband the whole time, but now I'm noticing the wife's decision maker. So let me shift here a little bit and say, so Amber, based on that, I mean, do you have any other questions? Right? I'm now shifting my focus to the wife in this scenario because that's who the decision maker is. Does that make sense what I just did there? Okay. Got to pay attention to see who the real decision maker is. And if you're paying attention, you can figure that out. Now, here's to go back to kind of wrap a lot of this in together. The only way you can pay attention to the people in front of you is if you don't have to worry about what to say next in the presentation. Because if I'm so worried about what to say next in the presentation, I'm not even focused on what they're doing. I could miss that. That goes back to that whole practice thing. All right. All right. Oh, shoot. That's not what I wanted. Let's go back. Nope. You know what it is? I got all this stuff in my face. All right, let's go back to 15, 14. All right, little things. Sorry about that. All right, I wrote down here next, showcase testimonials and success stories, especially if it's relatable to them. So for those of you that close expireds and canceled, share testimonials and success stories of other expired and canceled. If you're dealing with $2 million homes, share success stories and testimonials on other $2 million type homes, right? But share that. For luxury, highlight the publications the listing goes to. So if you don't know, at Century 21, any home that's over $1 million goes to luxury publications like Barron's, Wall Street Journal, Robb Report, DuPont, all those things. There's even a flyer for that. Our marketing team has that, or it's in our templates, but that's a great opportunity for you to showcase that. Utilize the Century 21 international presence. I've shared this script 100 times, but I'll mention it again. All right, Century 21 has an international presence. So when you're talking to people saying, look, Mr. Miss Seller, in order to market your own the best, not only do you market it locally, but nationally, internationally as well. I already gave you the local one, right, with the database and Century 21 Masters. The MLS will take care of the national marketing by sending it out to 200 plus websites nationally. Century 21 takes care of your international marketing by broadcasting to 80 plus countries, 13,000 plus offices worldwide. So as you can see, we have you covered in all avenues to make sure we get you the most buyers and the most money for your property, right? So utilize that Century 21 international presence. I have that script too, right? And then upgrade all your marketing, especially for the higher the price, as we talked about. All right, those are the little things. And then the last thing, close. Okay, because if you do everything that I just mentioned, and then at the very end you go, so what do you think? Oh, I think it looks okay. All right, so, are you still interested in selling? Yeah, we're still interested in selling. Okay. Are you gonna close or am I gonna close? Which one of us is gonna do this? Right?
Time here, please.
So after you do all that, you want to win the list every time. Close for the signature, like Shakira said. Sign here, please. Right? Great. All we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want in the time that you want. Won't that be great? Right? With smile and energy and authority. Right? Now you did all the work. Now they agree we're good. Right? Close for the signature. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. Right? However you want to close it, but keep it simple, keep it short, and just close for the signature. Okay? As a matter of fact, okay, we're gonna do an exercise here and then we're gonna end. All right? Exercise for end. I want everybody to unmute. Requires a group effort. I know some of you are eating, but you're gonna be fine. Okay? Just unmute yourselves. And I want you to say with a big smile, okay, you got to smile. And it bothers me that some of you don't have your camera on, so I can't see your smile, but that's okay. With a big smile, I want you to just simply say, will you sign on the count of, wait till I count to 3, but I just want you to say with a big smile, will you sign the contract, please? Okay, so on the count of 3, big smile, 1, 2, 3. Will you sign the contract?
Please.
Okay. All right. Is everybody still with me? Nobody
Yes.
fainted? Nobody
Yes.
fainted? Nobody had any like heart palpitations and like we all made it through that, all right? It's close. That's it. You did this, you did all the work. Now the big smile. Great. You sign the contract, please. All right. That's all it takes, folks. That's all it takes. All right. And then I always just end with our core values. It doesn't matter to our class, but I like ending with that anyways. All right. So let me stop here for a second. Questions on anything we went over today?
Hey, Robert, it's Rosa. I do have a quick question.
Go ahead.
You didn't say that percentage of people moving out of the county. Where do we get that information from?
So you could get, I just posted, by the way, the slides in the chat box. So you could get that. You could see if Title has that. You could also go to the census, like U.S. Data Census Bureau.
Mm.
And what they do, and here's why. It's a great question. Because what they'll do, they'll break down the people that moved into a city. They'll break it down who moved within the county, outside the state, and outside the country. And I'm interested in people to move outside the county because I want to show them that they need someone with a larger presence. Because if they say, well, so and so knows this area, they've been working this area for 20 years. I get that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but and then the investor numbers I get from title, or I can go to Title Toolbox to get that, get with your title reps. But if I say, okay, I get that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but here's the thing. In your city, 27% of the homes are owned by investors who might not live in the area. Did you know that? I had no idea. Yeah, so that's 1 out of every 4 homes that people buy, they might not even live here. On top of that, if you look at the census data, 33% of the people that have moved here in the last 12 months came from outside the county, which means that there's a good chance the person buying this house is not in this area. So while you do need someone with a local expertise, which I have, you really need someone with a broader reach. And that's why you're going to list with me. And here's why. And then you go through what I went through earlier of here's how I'm going to take care of the local marketing. MLS will take care of the national marketing, and Century 21 takes care of your international marketing.
Thank you.
Here, actually, I got some fun for you. I'll post that script in the chat box as well, just in case anybody's interested. All right, good stuff. Other questions? All right, very good. All right, I posted the link to the slides, and I'm going to post in the chat box 2 scripts. One is the one I just mentioned using the stats. And then another one is using for high-end properties on utilizing the number of cash buyers in an area.
Robert,
Yeah.
this is Arturo. I want to advise how do you help the investors when they ask you regarding at what price we could sell the property when they looking to remodel the property.
If they want to
Investors.
remodel it?
Yes.
So I want to buy the property. If I buy this property, how much could I sell it for if I put a certain amount of money into it?
Exactly.
Okay. So I would do comps on that property of homes that are fully upgraded. And so I would go to the seller and say, look, it depends on what type of upgrade you want to do. Okay. But based on the last 60 days, here's a home that's comparable to the one you're thinking about buying. As you can see, it's fully remodeled. I mean, high-end stuff, and it's sold for this. Okay. Here's a home that might not be fully remodeled, but is move-in ready, and it's sold for this. I would just base the comps on that, and then that way I can go to the investor and say, so the price really depends on how upgraded you want to make it.
Okay. So how far did you go from for the comparables? How far from the day?
I would like to do it in the past 60 days, closed in the past 60 days, and as short of a distance as possible. Half a mile, ideally. And then if I have to expand out a little bit more, I can expand out a little bit more. But I don't want to go too far because, as we all know, in every city we live in, a mile sometimes is a totally different area. It's a totally different neighborhood. So I want to try to stay within a half mile if possible, but that's tough to do. So maybe I have to go to a mile.
Okay. All right. And according to what you say, I was close doing everything because I sent some companies today.
Well, there you go, dude. I mean, if you're close to what I'm saying, then you're screwed. No, I'm just kidding. Right? You're probably
Okay.
If you're copying me, man, we're in a bad spot. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'm just kidding. Good job, buddy. Good job.
All right, thank you.
It just depends on the upgrades that they want to do. Here's what I would never get into though is cost of the upgrades. How much money would I have to put into this to turn it around? I don't know. Get with a contractor. I'm not going to get into, well, you know what? A bathroom might cost this much. Even if you're just bound to be put in a bad spot when it costs more.
Yes. Okay.
So,
all right. Thank you.
There you go. What does "whoa, not go" mean? Whoa, not go means we'd rather slow you down than speed you up. So we would rather have people where we have to, instead of us saying, come on, get going, we'd rather you say, whoa, 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 hold on. Actually, slow down a minute. Slow down a minute. We would rather you be whoa instead of like, come on, go.
Uh-huh.
That's what we would rather have.
Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
All
Good
right. Thank you.
question.
Thank
You're
you. That
welcome.
was the reason I couldn't get in on time to the meeting because I was speaking with the investors.
You were woeing. Good job, buddy.
I
You were
was.
woeing, baby.
All right. Thank you.
Good job. One common question I get is, should I put work in to upgrade the property? Well, okay. So good question. Here's two things to that. One, it's up to the seller and depends on how fast and how easy and how much money they want to get the house sold for. So if the house needs some work, well, look at Mr. Miss Seller, here's the deal. Based on the comps, if you don't want to put any money into this house, that's perfectly fine. We got to price it at this. Okay, to get it sold, because the buyer's going to have to come in and do some work to the house, right? If you want to put some money into it, we could potentially sell it at this price. Okay, but before you do that, you need to make sure that you talk to a contractor so you know how much money it's going to cost you to get the house to look like this, because I can't guarantee dollar for dollar in the amount of work that you put in. Okay. But that's, again, I want to push it over to the contractors. But it really just depends on how fast they want to get the household and do they have the money for the upgrades? Because what I see a lot is they try to cheap out on it, and then all of a sudden it's 2 to 3 months later and they don't have the money to finish the upgrades, and it's like, now everybody's in a bad spot. So, if do you even have money to do upgrades? B, do you have time to do upgrades? Okay. And then C, talk to a contractor to see how much it would cost. And then I'll give you the comps to show this is what it would sell for based on that. And then is it worth it to you to do that? So I would do that. The one thing that you do want to consider, though, that I've noticed on this topic is, I don't know how everyone else's market is, but a lot of the markets that I've been studying for our company is houses that are super turnkey ready seem to be moving really quickly. Houses that need a little bit of work seem to be really slow. Okay. Now every market's different, but that's what I'm seeing. And I attest that to buyers are already paying a premium rate at a premium price, and they don't want to also pay another $5,000 to do some minor work to the house. Okay. So study your market and go, gosh, the homes that are like super duper turnkey are selling in 30 days. The homes that are expired or 90 days on market need some work. Well, then you go to your seller and say, look, maybe it's worth it for you to do some work on this house to get it super turnkey. Or if you don't, we have to price it really aggressive. Okay. In order to get buyers in it, because buyers are not interested in paying a premium price at a premium rate right now. So, but that again, it just be cautious, because you never want to promise like a dollar for dollar upgrade. Hey, if you put $20,000 into this, we could sell it for $40,000 more. Maybe, but you don't ever want to be put in that spot. Always get them over to a contractor. But ask the questions first. Do you have the money and do you have the time? Because I don't know about you all, but I've never done any construction or upgrades to my house that got done in the time frame I thought it was going to get done. Ever. so so if they think it's going to be done in 2 weeks, it won't be. To get comps half mile is not possible, low inventory. So yeah, if you stay within one, you just want to stay, and each area is different. So if you can't find any comps within a half mile, go to a mile, go to a mile and a half. But it also just depends on the area. Like the greatest example I use is, there's an area in Los Angeles called Los Feliz. Okay. And there's a major street called Los Feliz Boulevard. And and it's wild, because in Los Feliz, it's the same zip code, 90027. North of Los Feliz Boulevard is $2, $3, $4 million mansions. On the other side of Los Feliz Boulevard, which is just 4 lanes, by the way, not even a highway, just a street. The other side of Los Feliz Boulevard, it looks you're in like $800,000, $900,000, kind of a dumpy little area.
Well,
Yeah, so you have to be careful. If there's nothing within a half mile, go to a mile, but just make sure that it's like, I know, like the parts that are really important within that mile. But But yeah, I mean, you got to just do whatever the best you can is to try to do something. Worst case scenario, look at price per square foot and try to, leverage that to the best of your ability. Yeah. Maria, what was your question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I had a client that wanted to do some upgrades to their home. So what I did was I called all the pendings and the actives that were upgraded just to see how they were doing regarding their listing activity wise, and especially the ones that were pending, if they were selling above asking, just so that way I could get give a better idea to that homeowner and they can make the best decision. Because the market is constantly changing. And if
Yeah.
it takes them 2 or 3 months to get these repairs done, they may not get what some of these homes just recently sold for.
Yep. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Good stuff. I just found out that I'm apparently speaking in 5 minutes on something. So I just got a text message saying, "Where are you?" But it's not on my calendar, so I'm not going to take the blame for that one. All right. I'm a busy guy. Got to put it on my calendar. All right, everybody. Good stuff. Hopefully you got 1 or 2 nuggets out of this. And again, I put the slides in the chat box. I put those scripts in the chat box. But if you have anything that was not covered, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help out as much as I can. All right. Keep up the good work. It's a great week. Let's go make it happen.